Hey, fourth graders, we're back, and we are going to talk about writing decimal numbers as fractions and fractions as decimal numbers, and then being able to read those and say what they are, say their value without just saying 0.543. Okay? All right, here we go. I'm going to start out with fractions to decimals. Okay? So the way that I do this is I like to tell my kids, okay, if you have it over 10 or 100 or 1,000, okay, a 1 with zeros behind it, okay, and you don't have any whole numbers, put your decimal and then put lines for how many zeros you have. I have 3 zeros, so I'm putting 3 spaces, okay? And in those 3 spaces, I need to put my numerator, okay? So I'm going to put my numerator in here in my 3 spaces, okay? And you always start at the very right-hand side, okay, with our number. So the last digit of that numerator needs to go at the very right. So I have a 7, a 3, a 7. Now, in this case, it fits perfectly. It's the same amount of spaces as we have numbers in the numerator. That is not always the case, okay? And I'm going to show you one where that's not always the case. Okay, again, I'm going to put my decimal, and I see 1, 2, 3 zeros. So I'm going to have 3 numbers over here in my decimal. Now, this one also has a whole number. Where do whole numbers go, fourth graders? You got it. They go to the left of the decimal. So I put that whole number to the left of the decimal. Okay, now remember I said I'm going to take my numerator and I'm going to start at the right. The very right number is 6, and I'm putting it way at the right. And my other number is 8, and I put that in the next spot. Well, I still have a spot left. What do I put there? You got it. I got to put a 0. I got to fill that spot with a 0. Okay, I have to have 3 spaces over here, 3 numbers, okay, because I have 1,000 on the bottom. Okay, since I have 1,000 on the bottom, I need 3 numbers. And this number has to go all the way to the right, as far to the right as we can get in our spaces, and then we fill the other spaces with zeros. Okay, so now let's say we need to read these. I said we're not going to say this is 0.737. Okay? And sometimes kids have a good grasp with this because they can look at that fraction and say it's 737 thousandths. Okay? Sometimes kids like to look at these and say, well, my last spot is the tenths, hundredth, thousandths spot. So I read my number 737, and then I say the last spot it's in, thousandths. Okay? Now, when I have a whole number, I say my whole number, 3. For the decimal, I say and. 3 and again, I have 3 spots, tenths, hundredths, thousandths. 3 and 86 thousandths. Okay? All right, let's try and do these the other way. Okay, I've got 343 thousandths, right? 343 thousandths. My last spot is the thousandth spot. All right, so I need to write this as a fraction now. Okay, what number do we know goes on top in the numerator spot? You've got it. This number that we put in the decimal goes in the numerator spot. Okay? 2 ways that we can figure out the bottom number. Okay? The first way would be we count our our place values. Tenths, hundredths, thousandths. Thousandths. So what number do we put on the bottom? We put 1,000. Okay? Because it's the last place is in the thousandths spot. Okay? Now, the other way sometimes that I'll tell my kids is you put a 1 You count how many decimal places there are. 1, 2, 3. That's how many zeros we need. Okay? All right, let's try this one. And if we read this, we have the whole number, 4, decimal is, and I've got tenths, hundredths, so I'm going to read my number, 65, my last place is hundredths. 4 and 65 hundredths, because it's in that place value, the last number. All right, so if I write this as a fraction, first I need my whole number, because I'm going to have a mixed number since I have a whole number. Okay, numerator, 65. Denominator, what do you guys think? I told you 2 ways to figure this out. We could put a 1, count our decimal places, 1, 2, 2 zeros. Or we look here, tenths, hundredths. My last one is hundredths, so I put 100 just like I did. Okay? So again, if I read this as a fraction, it's 4 and 65 hundredths. When I read my decimal, it's, say the number, 343, last place, say the place value, thousandths, 343 thousandths. Okay? Alrighty, 4th graders, that was a lot of information. I hope you got this. I know you got this. Good luck, all right? We'll see you tomorrow.